Guess what? We live, suckers. And I don't know
What's
what I'm
up?
doing. This thing is stupid.
You're live.
Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of the Paranormal Jackass. I'm your host, the Paranormal Jackass himself, Scott Wilson. I hope you can hear me. If you can't, oh well, too late. So bad. Or so sad. Bye-bye. Anyways, you know I'm not coming alone. I got my homeboys. I got my boy Tim, the rare bald-headed Sasquatch, which he's not, well, I guess he is kind of hairy like one, but let's bring him on. What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
I'm
You know-
6'3" and I wear a size 15 shoe, Scott.
That don't mean diddly squat. Why your wiener smaller than mine?
I'm big, I'm hairy, I'm bald.
I'm just saying. And speaking of the big ones, you gotta bring back the homeboy. Your brother, my brother, from another mother, but not the same dads. You know what I'm saying? Welcome, my homeboy, Jason Rallis, the paranormal penis. Ah, look at that dude. He looks like one of those guys homeless guys we picked up off the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey.
I feel like I look more like the survivalist guy living in Yellowstone up in the mountains.
I'm starting to look homeless. My hair out on the sides is getting kind of long. I got some like long ones up here, and this is starting to look pretty homeless.
That is what I am thinking.
I mean, listen, if I stuff newspaper in my jacket for insulation, that don't make me homeless.
Okay.
As cold as it's been in northern Indiana this year, you about need to.
There's Matt. What up, brother? I hope you're doing good. I have not forgotten about you.
Hi, paranormal consultant.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can't.
Now we can't hear you.
You got no audio, bro.
I got no audio.
Now you do.
Now you do.
I'll throw that one out. Hey, Keith, how you doing, brother? Say hi to Keith's heart.
Hi, Keith.
Wow,
And of course,
my daughter's really
Queen.
bossy. Yes. The listen
Jenna's
queen
big.
herself. Yeah, I'm in Jenna's room, dude. She's my boss tonight.
Sometimes
So
you
how's
gotta get in
everybody
where you fit in.
Doing all
I have a
right.
good work week.
No. Had a rough
Except
work week.
Tim. Yeah. Keep it up and you're going to be called toothless like me. Wow.
Scott told me to tell everybody I hit myself. I got in a hockey fight, but I hit myself in the face with a wrench today, and
You kind of let one go to the mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was bad. We'll put it that way. There's blood on my pants. I can account for it.
Man, that
So
They
blows.
say, you know what they say? Shit happens.
it really does, man. Dude, that's just rough, I mean, it really is. Um,
And this wasn't no little like 3/8 wrench. This was an inch and a half, or I'm sorry, 1 3/4 wrench. The damn thing as long as my arm.
and that's crazy, dude. Like, that is a big wrench. It really is, dude. That's like half my size.
That's baby. That's baby with what we work with, man. We've got some 3-4 inch sockets.
I'm just sharing out, so
You're fine. You're fine. Tonight's topic: exorcism.
yes, exorcism. And this is something that intrigues me, especially being. I love horror movies. Not maybe so much when I was younger, but growing up with things like The Exorcist. Now that I'm older and you watch a movie like that that's based on an actually something that's happened, it kind of intrigues you, and then you go into the exorcism of Emily Rose. That movie is also based on an actual event.
Well, the Conjuring movies are supposedly based on
The
true
Conjuring is,
stories.
yep. Deliver Us from Evil. I cannot remember the police officer's name, who ended up retiring from the police force and helping a priest. That is also based on a true event. So,
One of
hey,
my well, hey there, Nick. One of
Well,
my
let me ask you this. Would it be considered could something be considered when it's possessed, then it gets exercised to remove the evil spirit from it, right? So not just people, but other items too, like the Annabelle doll and stuff. They possess. Somebody could exercise that and remove the evil spirit from that item.
hi, Natalie.
I mean, would that be
Natalie.
a form of exorcism?
In my opinion, yes. I think anytime you're removing evil from anything, technically, I think in the basic true spirit of the nature, yeah, you're exercising something evil from something pure.
Right. And especially with like the Annabelle doll. When you look at some of these forms of attachments, whether it's a spirit or something, but when you got something that's more malevolent, that, in that situation, these girls, if I remember correctly, used their Ouija doll or Ouija board or whatever, and they allowed it to go into the doll. They gave, yeah, you go in there. That was an evil spirit, and I think on something like that, yeah, oh, absolutely, it's got to be an exorcism, But I agree with Tim. I mean, you're absolutely right, brother.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that you can exercise a spirit without using the name of the Holy Ghost?
Well, it's funny you say that.
Can you stray from Christianity and from that belief and exercise something when the very concept of the evil spirit is demonic?
It's funny you say that because
Therefore, it's the anti-Christ.
I did my homework, and it's funny you mention that because there are a lot of other religions that also have exorcisms.
Right.
Not just Christianity, not just Judaism, because the actual first mention in the Bible of anything related to exorcism is David in 1 Samuel when it talks about David temporarily expels Saul's evil spirits playing music.
Right.
And it's funny because in the Judaism tradition today, they still use music, hymns, and other forms in their exorcism rituals.
And
Along
what
with
book did you? What book?
I can't
What
remember
book
what's
did you say that was in?
huh?
What book did you say that was in?
First Samuel.
First Samuel. Yeah, that's right.
And
David was young
and-
still. After he has slain Goliath, Saul was still the king.
right. And I agree with Tim. I think you can without the Holy Ghost, because when you look at certain things, even like voodoo, okay, and how they go about cleansing somebody, it has nothing to do with Jesus. Has nothing
Well,
to do
no,
with the Holy
there's a
Ghost.
power in belief. There's a
Right.
power in belief. And regardless of what you believe in, if there's a skilled way in that way to do it, then I think it could be done too, because obviously spirits being expelled, which is basically an exorcism, has been happening in all different cultures and all different religions. So
I mean,
I don't take it
Buddhism,
from that.
Hinduism, Islam, and even Taoism and ancient Chinese folklore all have different rituals to expel evil spirits, so to speak.
Right.
Well,
I've
look at
heard,
how
I didn't find it in my research, but I've heard that even like in the, well, we all know Sam Hain, you know, or Samhain, or however you say it. The original
Yes.
form of Halloween was to expel evil spirits in the Celtic
Right.
tradition. So,
well
you
look
know,
at how us as Americans, we've taken Indian tradition by burning sage to ward off evil spirits.
yeah, Native
You know what I'm
Americans.
saying? Native American.
Native Americans had cultures and beliefs of it. And here's the thing, I think, first off, I think you have to believe in something
Right.
to
Yeah,
have
'cause
belief in evil spirits.
yes, the power, you have to acknowledge that there's a greater power of being out there. Therefore, the same way there's the equal amount of good, there's an equal amount of bad.
Yeah, you
There's a
can't
yin and yang to
live
everything.
without acknowledging the bad. Exactly right.
Yeah.
One cannot. And it's funny
Yeah.
because, like I said, I've studied the Bible pretty extensively. I've studied a lot of other religions pretty extensively. And the truth is, in all of them, there exists this example of duality in the world.
Right.
You can't have good without evil. You can't have this way. You can't have peanut butter without jelly. I'm just saying.
Well, there's an
Well,
opposite for every single thing you name. Anything you can think of in creation that we know of, there's an opposite to it. For day,
Exactly.
there's light. For wet, there's dry. For hot, there's cold.
Exactly. And, you know, even in science, you know, you break into like physics, and with every action has an equal and
Reaction.
opposite reaction. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So you
For
you
every
know,
action, there's a reaction.
right.
Right.
It's the yin and the yang.
Right. So let me ask you guys this then. Okay, because a lot of times we hear about if somebody gets possessed, it has to do with a Ouija board or this or that. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm with
do
you,
you
Lauren.
do you think that a person can get possessed? More likely to get possessed. We're going to get rid of the Ouija board. Just don't even think about that. A person who's more religious has a tendency would get possessed over somebody who's not religious and otherwise a non-believer.
I believe it'll be the opposite way, because a believer is somebody that has the ability to guard themselves with whatever belief they have, right? In a positive form.
I think you have to have some kind of primal belief in something.
Yeah, but
Right.
I'm just saying, like, you might not have the belief, like, go to say, if I believe in the Christian God and I believe in Jesus and I stayed armored up with it because I'm a true faith and follower of it, right? I'm more
Right.
guarded than somebody who has no knowledge of it, that can be manipulated and used and dragged down that wrong road because they never had their foot in the mud, to go to say. They never got their feet wet.
What I'm saying is, though, is that you have to have some kind of belief in some kind of good. You don't have to be practicing, is what I'm saying. Like, I can believe in God, but not go to church or follow God or do anything like that.
That's what the devil does. That's why they tell you, if you call yourself a Christian, it doesn't mean how much you go to church. And it's not about what prayer you have in church. It's what communion you have with Christ and with God yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it says if two or more of us are in the midst, well, if Jesus is in the midst with me at that moment, that means there's two of us. So God is in the midst.
Right.
I don't need nobody else to have a relationship with my Lord and Savior. But
Right. I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. What I'm saying is, though, you have to have some kind of belief in evil spirits before an evil spirit's going to be able to control you.
But that's why I say that to me, that's 90% of the so-called Christians out there in the world today, because they all say they believe in God, right? But they don't want to live by God's laws. They don't want to follow His ways.
I'll tell you right now, I firmly believe there's a lot of people going to church today that are probably going to go to hell.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh,
Just because you go in that building
absolutely.
doesn't make you holy. That doesn't put you. I'm far from holy. Listen, I'm one of the. I don't walk the right path on a daily basis.
Nope.
I don't. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
don't
do
either.
things,
I really don't.
but in my heart, I'm still not. I'm not too far gone.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree
Like,
wholeheartedly with what you're saying. I understand wholeheartedly what you're saying because I'm in the same boat. I say some things sometimes I shouldn't say. I do some things sometimes I shouldn't do. But on the same hand,
You all know me.
and what I believe if the Bible says, I've said this a million times, and most people, I don't know if people take it with a grain of salt or if people understand what I'm trying to say. In the Bible, in Romans, Paul refers to the Word of God, the Bible as we know it, as a double-edged sword. And if that book is closed, right, you can get paper cut on one side, but the other side is blocked. When you open the book, then it's sharp on both sides.
Right.
So your Bible's got to be open for it to be that double-edged sword. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that people have their own personal connection with God. I don't think you have to go to somebody. In other words,
Right.
I wasn't raised Catholic. I'm going to admit that. But I don't believe that I have to go to somebody to atone for my sin. I believe I can do that personally.
I was actually raised Catholic. My grandfather was a deacon at St. Edward's in New Orleans, and I grew up in a house with Catholicism and all that. And I mean, listen, there's a lot of good people in the church that really are living the way they should be living. But then there's a whole big old group of them that is politics. It's politics. It's all it is. It's them trying to get power from each other, and they throw each other under the bus, and they do all kind of underhanded, crooked shit. And you don't really see it until your grandfather is a damn deacon in the church, and you get to see all the meetings behind doors, and you get to hear what's really going on with the church.
Like I said, my father was a pastor. So, and he was a pastor in the Baptist church. And believe me, I at one point in time was a youth pastor in a Nazarene church. So I actually have seen quite a bit of the politics in church. It's the reason why I don't go anymore. I study the Bible myself at home. And I believe how I believe. That way I don't have to rely on what man says about God. I can rely on what I believe God to be and what God tells me God is.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and instead of relying on, I think there's a big difference between believing in God and believing what man says about God. There's a good way to put it, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
listen, I heard a great story one time. They had a guy on TV, and he was telling a story. He said, man, a young man asked his pastor, he was mocking the pastor, and he was like, Pastor, I want to be saved. He said, well, Pastor, I smoke weed, so I can't go to heaven. And the pastor said, no. You can still have your relationship with Jesus Christ and with God. You can still go to heaven. And he says, but you're not hearing me, Pastor. I smoke pot. I smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? And that's not okay. And he said, listen, you continue to do what you do, but you continue to try to get closer to Jesus. And when Jesus puts it on your heart to stop smoking weed, then it'll happen. He said he works you, he molds you as you go. Nobody's going to come to him perfect. Everybody's broken when they come to him. He puts
We
his
all
hand
fall
and his
short
grace
of
on
his
you. It
glory.
works with you.
And let's face it. Let's go back. Let's go back to the New Testament here just a little bit. What kind of people did Jesus hang out with?
All crooks and criminals.
Right.
The lords
He's
of
hanging out
society.
with the creme de la
That's
creme
right.
of society.
Listen,
And he
I'm
wasn't
so
hanging
tired.
out with the holy. In fact, most
I,
of he condemned the holy in favor of those that needed him most.
I gotta say this too. I'm so tired of people portraying Jesus and his disciples as a bunch of robe wearing sissies. Man, these people was monsters. Paul cut a man's ear off when they tried to arrest Jesus. He
It wasn't
flashed
Paul.
all the way out.
It was Peter.
It was
Simon.
Peter, excuse me. Peter, excuse me. But I'm saying these dudes was like, yeah, you gonna arrest my man? Hold on. Swap, give me that ear. Stop, back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? These wasn't no cowards, no sissy men. These were men. They were rough. Like, imagine being a fisherman back then where you actually pulled your nets in by hand. You know how
Right.
strong you'd have to be to do that all day long?
Yeah. What's up, Jason?
The wall.
Simon, I
Let
would
me
love
ask
to
you
know the
guys
answer to
this.
that question. I would love to know the answer to that question. And believe it or not, when you look up exorcisms and you look up stuff about it on the internet, there's really not a whole lot of relevant answers out there.
And that is a good question, Simon. I mean,
It's an excellent question. And
Yeah,
You know
because-
the only people that would be able to answer that honestly is the archdiocese and the few people that are actually ordained to do.
And I have a friend who's
Or
like,
actually ordained to do, because just because you become a priest doesn't mean that you're commissioned to do exorcisms. Those people are specially trained by the church. You know what I'm saying? And like, but they're very, very reclusive and they don't talk to the public about what they do. And it's not.
you met one
Right.
at the funeral.
What'd she say?
Oh, Father Casey that was at Bass' funeral is actually ordained to do exorcisms.
Right on. So
you see, in my belief,
I'm
not
gonna
being Catholic, in my belief, any righteous person can do an exorcism, because what I've read in the Bible and things like that, Jesus tells all of us, you be able to do miracles far beyond what I have done. All you have to do is have faith and believe.
No, and I'm not saying that somebody can't. I'm just saying that the only organization that I know of on the planet that's really like known for doing this is
Hey,
the
Mike.
Catholic Church. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
right.
you're not gonna go to say, well, the Baptist Church is known for doing exorcisms. No, they're not. In every exorcist movie we've ever seen in Western culture, what kind of priest is it in there doing the exorcism?
The priest, exactly.
Catholic
And
priest.
I believe that's because the Catholic Church is the oldest church on the planet. And I believe it's because, they just done it. They've done it for a long time, and they coined the term exorcism. It actually comes from an ancient Greek word, which means to bind and cast out.
Right. So I'm going to throw a curveball
Sorry.
in here. So would somebody who experiences stigmata, would you look at that to get rid of as a form of exorcism?
Stigmata is
But
something
on the other
completely,
end of the spectrum,
stigmata is something completely different.
I have no knowledge on stigmata.
Stigmata is where you suddenly start exemplifying signs of crucifixion.
Like bleeding at the
Right.
red of the
Yeah.
eye.
Bleeding from the palms,
right?
just randomly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and that was another thing I was going to bring up. So in exorcism cases, how do you look at it? Like as more of a
like moved up
because I
one.
know there's a lot of doctors who are like that, or a lot of priests who go at it as a mental illness rather than being possessed.
Yeah, and I actually kept this up as a tab. I'm going to switch over to it and just keep talking. I read this thing from a Catholic priest who talks about the stages. He's a bishop in the Holy Nicolean Catholic Church. His name is Exorcist
Rocky
Brian
Balboa.
D. Olette.
Okay.
Swati Mociano.
But he talks about 4 stages of exorcism and how the first 2 stages, identification and escalation is what he calls them, are not completely different from mental illness. You see a lot of signs of mental illness. But in the third stage, stage 3, he talks about, he calls it demonic obsession. You have to be able to rule out anything physical. So here you show the physical illnesses that treatment does not resolve. And then that's a big factor in it. And he talks about the long medical or psychiatric history and nothing is working for them. No matter what the doctor, psychiatrist, or counselor tries, they don't know what to do more for this person. And then stage 4, he talks about demonic oppression. And he says it's very rare to see it. And in this stage, you have the ability to speak in languages they've never studied, superhuman strength, clairvoyance,
Right.
Pupils looking like snakes' pupils, disdain for anything religious or blessed objects, and signs of seeing levitation, doppelgangers, disturbances in the environment, things that cannot be explained away in any way, shape, or form. So I thought that was an interesting little read. It was a short little thing I found on Google. But and I left that tab up so I could reference it during the show. But when it comes to mental illness, I think a lot of times various forms of mental illness can very much show itself as a demon attack at first to someone who has not had some kind of training in this.
Right.
I know personally, I've talked to a guy who swore he was being possessed by an incubus, the whole incubus succubus thing.
Right.
And doing my research and stuff for this person. Hi, Adrian. And doing my own research and stuff for this person, what I was able to find was that sleep paralysis. There are 3 things that happen that are most common visions that happen during sleep paralysis. The most popular one is a burglar or someone breaking into your house. But the number 2 thing reported with sleep paralysis is an incubus or succubus. So I think, there are certain medical things that can help with certain things. On the same hand, when medical science can no longer explain what's happening to you, then I think maybe you're getting into the realm of something more serious.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They go through all this and, the exorcism going on. And we all know that it's a lot out of not just the priest, but the person that's being exorcised, And now we're going to get into the third part because we've been covering everything pretty good. So the demon's gone, whatever. The person's spirit and will is still extremely weak. So it is repossession.
Hey, Scott, you're cutting in and out a lot with your mic.
Am I?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Barely.
y'all hear me?
Yeah. I'm just letting you know. Is that your daughter I see in the background? Can't hear you at all now. Nothing.
Scotty!
Your mic's on mute. Your mic's on mute. It's showing you muted. There you
got-
go.
Yeah,
Can
you
you
got
hear
the
me?
listen queen.
Now
They can
that's
hear
the
you.
best I've been able to hear you all night.
I mean, I won't talk if you don't want me to, but
No.
I mean, listen, Chrissy, the listen queen just screamed at him. He got scared. He fixed it real quick.
listen, I did too.
Hi,
You better
Mr.
stop
York.
it. She better stop it. So,
Simon said subtitles.
hey, you guys. Sorry. Don't. Anyways, so exorcism's going on. Demon is vanquished. Blah blah blah. The the individual soul is weak. The will is weak. Repossession. Can it happen?
Yes. The Bible speaks of it. They say when one spirit is pushed out and you don't bind yourself up, that whatever comes in will be like times 10. It'll be worse. And that's where you end up with legion from. That's how you would have a legion in you.
I also believe as well that if someone takes it seriously and understands what has happened to them, then
I could use your help, son. I'm just saying.
I think if someone understands what has happened to them and takes it seriously, I believe they're going to be much more guarded as well.
Exactly.
I believe them not taking care of themselves spiritually after that point could very well lead to repossession.
Imagine this. Imagine you a homeless person on the street in New York and you get possessed for whatever reason. And you go to a local church or whatever, these people out doing missions, whatever, and they pray over you and they expel that spirit out of you. But then they go about their way and you go back to your normal routine, not knowing no better.
I
Right?
think it's more susceptible to be repossessed.
Unless you have some type of belief that you're going to be grounded in, that's going to be cemented in you when you have it expelled from you, some kind of protection, you pray. You know what I'm saying? Like you there for the slaughter.
Well, they say that when a demon is expelled, that normally the host has no recollection
Yeah,
of what
that's
happened.
what I've understood. That usually the person will be like nothing ever happened. Like they just gonna go about their life.
But I believe at that point in time, the people that have expelled that demon need to take that person in. You know, that we talk about church as a building in today's time, but the true meaning of church is the body of Christ, the fellowship of believers.
Yeah.
At that point in time, that fellowship of believers needs to take that person in and make them understand what has happened to them and the seriousness and the consequences of what could have happened had they not intervened. I believe it is a responsibility of the people that call themselves exorcists to make sure that that person becomes spiritually cleansed so it cannot happen again. I know in the Catholic Church, one of the big things is that they pray over the person and ask God to keep evil away from them.
But what kind of mental
the end of an exorcism?
What, you know, if they do that, let's say the church takes them, hey, we're just gonna let you know you got possessed. What kind of mental effect do you think that would have on that host? Because to me, if that was to happen to me, say, you know how I am. I'd be like, ah, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. But for some people, they'd be like, what? So the mental state that they would go through would be actually kind of terrifying, almost like a PTSD type of situation.
Right. But that's why you see a lot of exorcists these days recording.
That way they could show the person after, look, this is what you was doing.
Yes.
You don't remember this, but look, this is you.
That is very important to do if you're in the situation to have to cast out a demon. I believe it's important to be able to show that person this is what you are experiencing. It's time to take your spirituality seriously. I believe it is a responsibility of the exorcists themselves to make sure that person understands fully the extent of what can happen.
Right.
Because how many people have been possessed that are found dead? You know?
Yeah. But look, you got to think about this too, though.
Life or
How
take
do you-
another's life.
But how do you scare somebody that doesn't actually remember the trauma? In other words, you could show them the video. That's like saying this: I've been shot before, right? So, had I never been shot before, I wouldn't respect and fear a gun the way I do. You know what I'm saying? But for somebody that's never actually been hit with it and doesn't really know the feeling and what it's like to be shot, they'll never. You could explain to them 1,000 times that this happened. And the worst part is if you did it to them and they wasn't conscious of it, I have no knowledge of it, and they just wake up after and don't have to go through the pain of it, they never get that trauma. They never have that switch in them that you can flip on them. So they'll just be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay, I don't care about that video. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do because
And I'm sure that happens. I'm sure that happens.
I mean,
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Exactly.
I mean,
And at that point, though, you have to wash your hands.
yeah. I mean, I can tell you guys what it's like to be short, but you just don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of pain there, man. You know,
I was short once.
Listen, I did flooring. I've done roofing and flooring. I know how it is to be short.
Scott, I was your height at 10 years old. I know what it's like to be that height.
Yeah. If anything, I'm kind of mad because when I was your size, my clothes and shoes were cheaper.
listen, I got to get hand-me-downs from my son and my daughter. Leave me alone.
Try buying my shoes.
Listen, when you hit like a size 8, you go from kids to adults, them $40 shoes turn into $140 shoes.
That is very true, man. That is very true.
And you gotta understand, there's only certain shoemakers that even make shoes in my size.
And we all understand that one, Jeremy.
I only wear I wear a size 15 shoe. So like I can't go get a pair of Reeboks. When the pumps came out, I couldn't get them.
Me neither.
There ain't no they make them by special order only at that point. You know how much it costs to get a pair of special order Reeboks?
Yeah, it would have been expensive.
They didn't have them in toddler size, so I couldn't get any. I'm just saying. Whatever. So, yeah, the repossession thing, you know, and we're not saying that you need to go get saved and this and that. This is all just our opinion. Besides what education these guys know, because of the research that they do, because clearly they do a little bit more than I do, just because I like horror movies. And listening to the books, like when I listened to The Exorcist, the book, dude, it was so much different than the movie, which most books are.
Books have better details.
They really do. And
Simon, I'm loving your
about it. Say what?
I said I'm loving Simon's questions.
Sorry.
I tend to believe that God, and I'm sorry, this is my personal belief, okay? I think when it comes to certain forms of mental health conditions, such as autism and Down syndrome, I believe those people have a special place in God's heart. I really do. And I've never heard of someone that like
It was
that
autistic. Yeah, being possessed.
possessed. And I believe that because they only learn what they pick up from others. And I believe and but just because someone is nonverbal does not mean that they do not have an amazing mental capacity.
Right.
I am friends with someone. I have known him since high school. His name was Ian Weatherby. The man has an IQ that is well above Einstein's, and went on to invent certain things to help people in the autistic community.
Man,
And he's completely nonverbal, cannot control when he goes to the bathroom, cannot control his bodily movements.
Look at that dude, Cody. His name was Cody. He was on American Idol or America's Got Talent. He's nonverbal, but he can play the piano and sing his ass off, but he can't talk normal.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, I believe God has a special place for people like that gives them a certain protection. I honestly do. Now, as far as mental health conditions such as depression and things like that, I don't know that it makes them not have the possibility to understand what they're going through or what they've been through.
Right.
Let me ask you something. When you say depression, do you mean like an actual chemical imbalance in you that makes you depressed? Or do you mean somebody that just, woe is me and the world is so hard?
Either or. I don't think they don't have the mental capacity. I think in his question here, he's talking about someone having the mental capacity to understand the possibility of possession.
And I think that comes back to what we were talking about was when the demons exorcised out of the host, they say the host doesn't know anything about it. And I think that's where the mental capacity is, that if a church, the priest or whatever shows them the video, the mental state that's going to put them through, they'll go through that severe depression. They may go through that PTSD, especially the worrying, oh my God, is that going to happen to me again? You know what I'm saying?
And I can understand that, but at the same time, it does more damage to not remove the evil entity than to leave it in. Even if they go through some trauma while it's coming out, that has to be done. It's like saying it has to be done. Else you're going to continue to spiral worse and worse.
Yeah.
It will eventually consume them and kill them.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when I think people hit suicidal levels, because it's pushed them too far and they mentally snap and wind up killing themselves.
In my opinion, the devil's after one thing and one thing only: souls.
Right.
And the more he can drag the hell with him, the happier he'll be.
Think about this too. A human nature is self-preservation. I don't care what type of human you are. You might kill 1 million people, but you always try to save your own life. Self-preservation is the #1 human instinct that we have, right?
Yep.
For you to tell somebody or tell me that somebody's willing to strap a bomb to themselves and go kill themselves just to kill other people, those people are insane. Al Qaeda and those people like that, they literally mind screw these young people and they make them they turn them insane before they can get these people to do this, because no sane person is going to do that.
Remember, though, they're promised a special lot in heaven.
Listen, oh, that's great. Listen, right here in the United States, Christians are promised that if they walk the Christian way, they go into heaven. But guess what? They still don't walk the Christian way. That's great. I love that. But these people that's doing this, they've been kept at military camps out in the desert for 5 and 6 years where they've been done nothing but been mind warped by these people. By
Oh
the
yeah.
time they're willing to actually blow themselves up in something like that, they're screwed out their mind.
Oh yeah.
But
No sane person can do that.
I happen to really like what Jeff Dunham did in one of his comedy specials. Scott was flashing the 72, and now I can't get it out of my head. He said, "Screw the 72 virgins. Give me 72 slutty broads that know what the hell they're doing."
Yeah.
I like too. He said, "Oh man, they said I was gonna get 72 virgins. Instead, I got a 72-year-old virgin. Oh, I got screwed."
That was too funny.
We had to bring a bit of comedy into it.
Always got to bring it in. This is And see, and that is Keith. I
Same
am
thing
not
happened in Vietnam.
I'm not a combat
What?
veteran, so I am a veteran.
What?
I'm not a combat veteran, so I never had to.
And look, if you see what he said too, they were drugged. They were not in their right mind. You're not gonna get somebody in their right mind to kill themselves. You're gonna have to twack them out with their body.
Well, I mean, suicide happens every day, and we
Yeah.
all know the impact that has on people's lives.
We do.
And unfortunately, but you know, people do lose self-preservation, but it's normally when they abandon all hope.
They not in their right mind. They've been at that point when you've hit that level, that means you've broken down your will to fight, your will to survive, which is built into you, has been broken.
Right. I mean but that's what I'm saying. They've abandoned all hope. And I believe it's our job as fellow human beings, and it's our job, especially as believers, to help instill hope into people, to show them that that's not the only way out.
Guys, but do be careful. Lava here and there.
Yeah, just give me a shout, Jeremy. Send me a message. Let me know the date for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
But that's I agree. I mean,
I might be wrong for saying this because I've got friends that have taken their lives, but I feel like to kill yourself is almost like it's a coward's way out. It's a weak way out. I understand that some people can't handle what's on their plate. Everybody's not built the same way. Some people, they've been through things that they just can't live with no more. I understand that. I personally haven't gone through that yet. Even though I've been through some hard things in my life, I've never gotten suicidal. Maybe homicidal, but never suicidal. And I feel like if you're a strong person, no matter what life throws at you, how bad it gets, man, just keep getting back up. Every time, because life is hard. I mean, I tell people all the time, get a helmet. And it's hard. Ain't nobody gonna hold your hand. Nobody's gonna be there to pat you on the back and tell you you're doing a good job. That's not how life goes.
Anna, first off, I want to address this. Anna, any of your friends that are like that, if they need the help, we can help them find the help. I can help them find. I'll be the help if I have to be. Because I will tell you,
you can call the VA's office.
Scott and I both are former vets.
I have PTSD from Hurricane Katrina.
We have tons of friends that have PTSD. We have tons of friends that have dealt with this. And it is never too late to reach out a hand to a friend and say, look, I'll just sit here. You do.
There's a guy in here named Keith Hart. He is a veteran. He's been to Iraq. Reach out to him. I'm sure he'd be willing extremely to help you.
Absolutely.
Man, listen, the VA deals with a whole bunch of private like companies and organizations of soldiers that all meet up, that are all going through that. You know, it's not even something the VA actually does. It's just organizations that they'll refer you to that you can call.
He must be talking to you, Tim.
Who's that?
James Everidge. He said, "Look at that old man on the right. I'm on the left."
I am an old man. There's
Hey.
no doubt in my mind about that, my friend.
And Simon, please do not apologize.
No.
You're
Hey,
absolutely
listen,
right.
I didn't say that to be offensive. That's why I said it's just my opinion. I feel like anybody, whether man or woman, man, no matter how I'm saying to say this, no matter how hard life gets, don't never give up on yourself. Keep going.
And any vet out there would tell you the VA anywhere is horrible.
Yeah, the VA, I know they horrible. That's why I said you don't go through the VA, but the VA deals with different organizations like the Wounded Warrior Project and other things like that that they can give you references to.
No,
Yeah.
and that is awesome, Keith. Thank you for inviting Anna here. And I agree. I get 10% disability right now. That's all I get, and I know how it is at the VA. They take everything as whatever. So I totally understand. Just know that I know the three of us, you know, these guys are my brothers, and we're always here to talk if somebody needs it. Just so you know that.
And
Because
we've all seen each other at our worst.
we would rather sit and listen than wake up to bad news, and that's just the way it is. I mean,
So let me ask y'all, what kind of benefits did the VA even give y'all? Like when y'all retired from the military,
You're willing to wait 3 years for it, be my guest.
I'm saying when you got out the military, what does the military do for y'all?
hi,
Nothing.
congratulations, glad you ETS'd. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Have a nice life.
Yeah.
We
Back
hope
to,
the
your
best for
civilian,
you.
back to your civilian job. Yeah,
He's
a
all right.
headache. Do that, Keith.
He said a headache. Yeah.
You ain't wrong,
You ready
bro.
for a lot of red tape and paperwork?
Yep. And you know, and that's what it. Yeah, unfortunately, it's what it is. I mean,
I don't even go there. I have my own health insurance. I go to a doctor.
yeah, you know, if you. So yeah,
What
no.
did you say?
He said, "Thank you, Mister." He said, "Mr. Paranormal Penis." He never thought he was going to type that out. You know, never thought I'd be typing that tonight.
I understand, Jeremy.
Oh, definitely.
But the VA
Yeah,
is.
I wasn't trying to be mean when I said it. I want
Whoa,
everybody
whoa,
to continue to
whoa.
try to.
What is this, dude? Nothing
No,
like
you ain't
coming
calling
home.
me Hannah.
Howard jumped in.
Right. You know, that's just like Howard Petrie. Hey, it's only an hour late. I mean, come on, man. You know, we love you, and you better
Yes,
be
we
taking
do.
care of that health, dude. I'm telling you, you better take care of your health.
Please. And call him.
Gotta take care of the heart.
Yes, call.
Pardon my language. Call a man sometime, will you?
Yeah.
Let us know you're
Hey.
doing all right. Damn.
Hey, we got like 4 minutes left in the show, so you know what time it is.
Who we got
The
this week?
Weenie Award.
This week, as a new thing starting last week, we have an award now on the Paranormal Jackass for Paranormal Jackass of the Week. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored, extremely honored, if I can do this right for one, to show you Mr.
Well, I was joking.
You can't see it. Son of a gun.
I'm in the way.
I don't know how to do it on this stupid thing. I ain't a computer.
You got a
Okay,
screen share it.
hold on. I'm moving Jason. Hold on. It's LeBron James. LeBron James is the Paranormal Jackass for week 2. You know why? Because it's LaFlop James. Listen, This guy said there's no party like a Diddy party.
Diddy
Now, what
party.
that, bro? I want to know what kind of party that is. It's
Did you
just
see him
baby
wearing the nurse? Did you see him wearing the maid's outfit?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I get a free upskirt for free.
Oh, I'm sorry, daughter. My daughter corrected me. She said, Dad, it's baby oil.
I'm
It's
gonna try and get out early. I'm sure it
My
goes
bad.
about.
Baby
Listen,
Earl.
Baby Earl. We want to know
Baby Earl.
what that means, LeBron. And since you're the like flop, you know, you just don't compare to Michael Jordan.
Oh, you're on
So
the stuff.
No.
thank you for
No.
being the paranormal
Listen.
jackass of the week.
Well, not only that, I want to know when I want to know when all these famous people that said they was moving out the country if Trump got elected. I want to know why they ain't gone yet.
And by the way, I have an excellent one for next week.
And make sure you send it to me. So, last thoughts, guys. Exorcism, repossession. What are you thinking?
Jason, you want to go first?
I think exorcism is real. I think there's definitely evil stuff in this world, and I think that regardless of what religion you believe in, if there's a way in it to expel it and you can do it, I think it's a real thing. That's just my opinion. And I do believe that somebody can be repossessed by spirits after they've been possessed.
Oh, Howard, I love you. Listen, I think exorcism is very real. I think repossession is a very, very possible thing. Our spirits become weak. We start to question ourselves. We start to question the Lord in certain situations. And so, yeah, I think that's something that is very possible.
Personally, I believe it's in our nature to question God. It's in our nature. It's in our nature to not understand God. And I believe it allows us to become weak in our faith. So I believe, yes, you can be possessed. I believe in exorcism. I believe in having the power that God has given us to cast demons from another person. And I believe in the fact that people can be repossessed because they don't understand and don't want to understand
Right.
what they've been through and what the seriousness of the nature is. Whether you believe in God and the devil or whatever you believe in, if you believe in nothing, you have to understand that good cannot exist without evil in this world, or else we wouldn't know what good is.
You know, think about this too. Go, think
I'm
about
telling
this
Jackie,
too.
Howard.
Damn, I forgot what I was saying.
I'm sorry.
No, it was with Howard wrote, baby.
Yeah.
Well, hey, on behalf of myself and my two lovely co-hosts, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, for commenting with us and your questions. I am honored to have these guys on my podcast, to have the crew that I have, to put their foot in my butt when I need it, to give me that motivation. I love these guys, and we love you guys. So
Absolutely. And remember, your guys' comments make this show way more fun.
Yeah.
If you're out there watching and you're not sure if you want to comment on something, do it. You never know how we're going to respond.
Yeah, whether you find it offensive that you're going to comment or what, hey, we don't. I mean, we might take it offensive, but we can agree to
It takes a lot
disagree.
to hurt our feelings.
We can agree to disagree and still be friends. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know Scott and I are Gen Xers. It takes a whole bunch to hurt our feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm short and got a, so anyways,
Yeah.
hey, thank you guys so much for tonight. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. And remember, if you're not laughing, you're not living. Hey, thank you guys so much for being on with me tonight. I absolutely appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Let's see if I can do this.